Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to be working through the homework problems for chapter 6, and let's get started. Okay, so I have the spreadsheet here pulled up. I've also got kind of a screenshot of the homework problem 6.1 from our class packet, and I'm going to walk through the problem and also, help set up kind of some Excel work here for you if you need help with doing your spreadsheet, etc. Okay, so problem number 6.1 is a petty cash type of problem. And petty cash, remember, as we talked about in class, is a kind of an on-site, fund. So cash that you have at like a business, for example, that's just cash on hand essentially for small purchases, right? So there's a few different typical transactions, that we need to do here, and we're gonna do those, in our typical general, journal entry format. So let me just kind of get some of that set up. So for our journal entries, we've got these components here, and let's just put some formatting in. Okay, so on May 1st, it says we withdrew 200 cash from our checking account to establish the petty cash fund. So we take it out of our main, business checking account and have, cash on site, like I said, as a petty cash fund here. So that was on May 1st. Oh, not March 1st, May 1st. But let me change that. Okay, May 1st. And so petty cash is an asset, just like normal, cash or regular cash fund. But in our regular cash fund, that's with the bank generally. And so petty cash is just kind of that unique amount of money that we have at the business in cash on hand if we need actual, dollar bills or currency. And we're taking $200 out of our banking account with this entry, reducing that asset and moving it into petty cash. So that's the establishment of the petty cash fund. And we'll say establish petty cash fund for our explanation. Oops. Okay. All right, and then let's go ahead and read through the problem here. So on the 15th, we went and checked on our petty cash fund, and we realized that there's only $20 left in there, and so we need to replenish it, back up to our intended $200 to keep on hand. So we need to do the journal entry for that. And remember that the way the petty cash transactions work is we don't necessarily track them as they're occurring, but we go in and look periodically to see how much is cash remaining, and then we just need to account for these transactions and pull cash out of our bank account to again increase back up to that $200. So with that said, we've got the 15th of May as our date here. That's when we went and looked to see. And so we're going to put lunch expense. We just debit all of our expenses. That doesn't make sense. Supplies. Debit all of the expenses or purchases of assets, etc., whatever it was that we bought, with the petty cash money that was used. So somewhere in the petty cash, maybe there should be some sort of tracking sheet. Maybe there's a little form that you have someone that's in charge of the petty cash fund, make sure that the cash is like locked away, all good internal controls around petty cash. And so when someone comes out to, when something's purchased, there should be a receipt that goes along with the use of that cash. And again, we're going and looking later and saying, okay, now we're going to do journal entries for all of the expenses that we incurred with that petty cash fund usage, all the things we paid for. And we're going to take out more cash to replenish the fund, like I said, up to $200. But we also want to record all these expenses here. And the office supplies, we might have that as an expense, but this might be an asset as well. So whatever we paid for, essentially, right? What we want to think about. But then let's just say we're going to replenish petty cash. Petty cash. Okay. So that's just, those are all coming straight off of all the receipts that we see. And we pull cash out of our bank account just like we did to start. And that'll bring us back up to the $200 that it should be. Oh, you know what? We are missing one thing. Sorry, let me put one more thing in here, because I just noticed when we do add all this up, we don't get to the total. We get $184.50, and we need to get back up to $200, right? And so if we take the $200 that it should be in petty cash minus the total amount of the receipts that we can see in there, that gives us a difference of, let me see here. So we had $184.50, and then we have $20 left over, I guess I should say. We have $20 in petty cash. We can see that the receipts that we collected were for $184.50. If we add those together, that shows, you know, if we were to replenish the box with the same amount of cash that supposedly was spent in there, we would end up with $4.50 over the $200. So in other words, something went weird here. Something's wrong, essentially, you know, some minor difference. And so if we're going to get back up to $200, then we need to only replenish 180, right? Because we had $20 left over. So 180 gets us back up to 200. But for some reason, you know, we don't know why necessarily. This is kind of a miscellaneous thing. But we are we have $4.50 too much in our petty cash box now compared to the receipts that we can see in there. And so we need to use this special miscellaneous account, basically called cash short or over, and we're over a little bit. So that will balance us out. For our journal entries there, we should see $184.50 on debits and credits, and that will get us to put $180 cash back, gets us to $200 total when we have the $20 that was in there. So some sort of weird mistake happened, and that's it. You know, we want to keep track of this account, make sure it's not getting weird one way or the other, too high, too low. But that's where we put kind of our miscellaneous discrepancy, unreconciled discrepancy, if you will. Okay, so here we are. We're going to replenish it again on the 25th. And let's see, we had $30 remaining. We had the following receipts. So again, we have postage expense. I'm just going to take some of these. Miscellaneous. Miscellaneous expense, mileage. What else? Office supplies. So a lot of similar stuff, you know, and that's what you would expect, is that it's being used for similar things as you go. $58 and $60. Okay, and that totals up to $165.42. So as you can see, we had $30. So we need to put in, and let's put our cash. Let's just do that first. And we know, whoops. That was weird. Oh, there we go. We know that we have $30 left, so we know we need to put $170 in. So we're going to take $170 out of our primary banking account to put into the back of this petty cash box, and that gets us to $200. But what you're going to see now, you know, for our check, is that we have $165.42 debits and $170 credits. We know we need $170 again because we have 30 in there, so we have to add $170 to get to the $200 total we want. So again, we need to use this cash over or short account because something is off a little bit. But this time, it's the difference is on the debit side. So then we have $4.58 that we need to account for there. So you can kind of see these things sort of offset each other. So that's generally okay. You know, it's nice to have them offsetting. If we saw one direction or the other continually getting larger, that might be a cause for concern. But that's going to be our replenishment there. And then finally on May 31st, we're going to increase the amount of the petty cash fund. So we wrote a check for $200 to increase the amount of the fund. And so we basically just do the same exact journal entry, but we're going to say increase petty cash fund to, let's say, $400. And yeah, that's all the journal entries. Oops, make sure that looks better there. That we need. And again, yeah, we just need to look at the receipts compared to what's in the cash, box left over. And if there's any difference between getting us back to 200 between the actual money that's left in and the receipts that we see, we just need to use the cash over or short to balance that out. And sometimes it's credit, sometimes it's a debit, depending on whether it is over or under what it should be, essentially. All right, so that was problem number 6.1. And I'm going to make separate videos for each homework problem as I do. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you, everyone.